It's Super Sunday, and don't we have a super mega preview part three, the final part for you? And boy, we're going to be talking about India. We're going to be talking about Sri Lanka. We're going to be, of course, kicking off proceedings with Australia. But my name right here, right now, on this Sunday evening is Avnish Hegde. It always is. I mean, not just on a Sunday evening, but generally, my name's Avnish Hegde. And of course, Nikhil Popa, Akshay Kumar Swami, and Gokirat. Good to see you, boys. How's your Sunday been? Let's just get that casualness for starters. Nikhil, what have you been up to today so far?
Catching up on a lot of Asian Games stuff, which is good to see. India racking up good medals, so good wins there. And yeah, just prepping up for the Cricket World Cup. That's also it is very good scheduling, na? No warm up games on Sunday. Great minds.
Absolutely. Gurkirat, how have you been? Because you're looking dapper in that denim. Are you off somewhere later this evening, or have you come back from a afternoon meal?
No, I was just trying to recover from the fever that I caught yesterday. So I was resting and having a lot of chicken soup, if so that I could get the fluids flowing in my body. Had a terrible last night too with the fever. Just got ready because that's something that cheers me up. So yeah, that's about it. Not going anywhere because yeah, still want to recover fully before I venture out.
Okay, chicken soup for the soul on a Sunday is an interesting choice of selection. But look, we'll make some interesting choice of selection in terms of players. Akshay, what have you been up to on a Sunday? I'm guessing it's just work, right?
It's
For you, it's
yeah,
just
thank
work.
God.
What? I
Yeah,
didn't say
yeah, yeah.
anything else.
No, yeah. I just wanted to stop you right there. Yeah, it's been mainly work and also preparing for what's going to be a fairly long World Cup for us in the next couple of weeks at least. So just ensuring everything is a sort of on cruise control. So ensuring that. And also working on the upcoming classic. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up this Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. Now, in the preview, like I already told you guys at the top of the show, we're going to be talking about Australia, Sri Lanka, but more importantly, India, because look, let's face it, all of us will want India to do well. And hello to all you guys in the comments Udayal Das, Shijit Gupta, Preetham going on to say, Nikhil, big bye fan. I mean,
All of us are.
good on him. All of us, we all are. We're humble at times. And good to see the Hoggers, bloggers, and the rest of the lads or the ladies in the chat. And of course, if you're new to cricket.com, do subscribe to us, bottom right hand corner. It is, of course, worthwhile because we're going to be, like Akshay said, chalking up some amazing content for you guys in the build up to the World Cup and, of course, in the World Cup itself. Right. So we'll start with Australia because, look, in a week's time, it's going to be India, Australia in Chennai, and it's going to be a riveting game, that one already. And what's making the news from an Australian perspective, we'll get there straight up because I know that they had a decent game or an outing, if you want to call it, in Tremandum against Netherlands. But Marnus Labuschagne, replacing Ash Nagar, has been dominating their particular camp. And rightly so, because what he's done since he's kind of come back into the ODS scheme of things, we've already spoken about it in various cricket.com shows, his 80, his 124, and of course, he got a 50 as well in that series against India. But what I want to ask the boys for starters, Australia literally win it all the goddamn time, at least in our generation. Will they do it again, Nikhil Popat? And if you say yes, wearing blue, you know what is going to come your way in the comments, right?
But I'm not saying that they're winning. I think they are in with a good chance, which any good team will be hoping to do that. I think they do have a fairly settled squad in terms of roles, but I think some game time, some fitness, and slight form issues are there to hamper them. And very keen to see which all-rounder they pick from that lottery or the bag of tricks that they have. अच्छा आग बंद करके okay, आज turn is okay, today green, okay, today this guy. So that is the one thing that I'm keen to see because it will be important to get that right. I know George Bailey is very big on Maxwell being the frontline spinner, and yes, India gave him 4, but I'm hoping that we don't make a Moeen Ali out of him. And by we, I mean all the 10 teams that are playing. Though I will not mind it from a fantasy point of view, but I think there are areas to target Australia, and that's where I'm looking at. Not Stark. We saw what our Stark did yesterday, so I'm not putting any jinxes on Stark.
No, not at all. When none of us are, especially after Akshay and me being the RCB fans in India. But look here, it's almost like they have such a big pack of cards and they have to shuffle them in the right order. It's almost how are you going to see their team shape up? Because we'll come to your 11, but I want to, of course, to put up the squad and how you're going to bring everyone in to the scheme of things.
Yeah, so uh, as you can see, few last minute changes. There is no Ashton Agar. Uh, Travis Head is there, but probably not available for the first half of the tournament. Apart from that, you see enough quality, you see enough experience in the squad, and you feel that a lot of bases are covered. Having said that, if you look at the batters, there is one similarity that you will find with Delhi Capitals, that uh, the preferred position to bat for many of them is in the top three. Though they've made it work somehow, which is why I felt that Travis Head's injury could actually turn out to be a blessing in disguise for them, because that allows Mitchell Marsh to open. And what worked out for them was that Marnus got some runs in South Africa, and he scored a few runs versus India as well. So him being at four actually helps them to have at least one batter, one batter who was out of position batting at his best position. A lot, I feel, eventually is going to depend upon how Maxwell fares, because the top four seems sorted. Uh, there have been question marks on David Warner since the time he's come back from the ban, that okay, maybe he's losing his touch, he's not as good against pace. But it so happens with David Warner that whenever you have start having doubts on him, he turns
Yeah.
it around and score runs. Even though in this IPL he had scored runs, I felt he wasn't batting at his best. But the last few matches that he's played, the India ODIs and the South Africa ODIs, he's batting as well as he could have. And again, coming going back to that Travis Head injury, I think with also Warner getting those runs and Marnus coming back to form, that one experiment that they tried in that Chennai ODI, where Warner was batting at four, which I felt wasn't something that was completely out of the blue. It had some merit to it, because Warner has played a lot on Indian pitches. He's probably one amongst their best batters when it comes to playing spin. So there was merit in it. But I feel now with Marner scoring runs and Warner back to being his best, that top four is sorted to a large extent. But my worry is that middle order, uh, regardless of what format Australia play, whether it's
In
Test cricket.
fact, you allude to the middle order. We'll bring it up right now because, of course, it makes you think about Gurkhirat's predicted 11. He's, of course, going to be doing the SWOT analysis for Australia as well. And he keeps saying about the top four is pretty much settled. The middle order is his worry. So continue with your points, Gurkhirat, before we, of course, touch base on the fixtures with Akshay.
Yeah, so Maxwell's coming after a layoff, and he only played that one game. And with Agar's injury, I think now Australia need Maxwell's bowling a lot more than his batting, because they haven't selected any other spinners, so they will expect Maxwell to chip in with the ball, and he can, because he's been bowling a lot of overs for them. Last year in Sri Lanka, when they played that 5-match ODI series, Maxwell was bowling 8 to 10 overs. So I think the idea from then was to get as many overs out of Maxwell, so that they could have that extra bowling option. Uh, I do feel that somewhere Maxwell has that potential to do an encore of what Yuvraj Singh did for India in 2011. Definitely a better bowler going into the tournament, but his batting would remain a key too, because he's not played a lot of ODI cricket in the lead up to the World Cup. Now coming to Carey and Stoinis has not scored a 50 since March 2019, if I'm not wrong. Now that is a huge worry. And the other option that they could have gone for is Cameron Green, but Cameron Green's also not scoring enough runs. Last year he did have a good year with the bat, but this year he's not scored runs. And bowling wise, he's not better than Stoinis. Plus, Stoinis has that experience factor, and we have seen teams prefer experience when they're confused or when they're not sure what is going to work out. So I feel Australia will also go the same way. So Carey at six, Stoinis at seven. Maybe there could be a switch between Carey or Maxwell depending upon what the situation is. But Carey also has not scored a lot of runs in recent times. They have Josh Inglis as a backup. I feel that if Australia don't start off well and they lose a couple of games with Carey also not scoring runs, there is a possibility that Inglis could come in. The last four, Cummings, Stark, Zampa, and Hazelwood, they select themselves. I don't think, now with Agar out, there is a possibility of one of those three pacers missing out. Maybe if Agar was there, uh, Hazelwood could have missed out, because there's no way Stark is missing out, and Cummings is the captain. So I feel this is going to be the 11 that they go in with on the 8th of October.
Okay, that's given me good enough time to put an Instagram story out as well. And I was peering into, of course, your selections, and it's a riveting call that. And a lot of people in the comments agreeing with you, disagreeing with you, and we'll pick the bones about it. So don't worry, Satvik Agarwal, Our Earth is Best, Sanjay Papyagiri, Ankar Biswa, Santosh Urapar. Good to see all of y'all. And Sunny P as well is back. I don't know where he's back from, but we, of course, will cater to your comments as well. All you guys watching this for the first time, like I said, please like and subscribe, because we're about 40 odd people from reaching 36k. And like Gurkirat said in the show yesterday, 36 is a funny number. Speaking of fixtures, though, because I alluded to Akshay and he's been patiently waiting in the wings, Australia, they of course start their campaign, at Chennai, like I said, against India. And then, of course, they face South Africa and Sri Lanka at Lucknow. Happy as an Australian fan looking at these fixtures, Akshay? I mean, by no means you're an Australian fan, but would they be kind of chomping?
I was going to ask that. So am I now?
Yes, you are the guy from down under, right?
निखिल भाई, मुझे लगा कम से कम आप मेरी तरफ हो गए यार.
Well played, honestly.
ये तो भाई नहीं.
Go on.
अभी क्या go on graphic तो लगाओ भाई, कहाँ से go on fixture? ये सही है भाई. Anyways, yeah, but not that I am an Australian fan, but sure, I'll try to put myself in their shoes and understand how are they placed in terms of fixtures. And I'd say it's not really something to be too happy about, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Lucknow relayed surface, so we're still unsure of what to expect from it. So I'll sort of not comment too much on it. Playing in India and Chennai will definitely be difficult, but we'll also have to understand that this will be the first game played in this venue, so it'll still be fresh. So don't expect it to be extremely spin friendly like we saw in the latter half of IPL. If anything, probably the games that we saw in the first half of IPL would be a better indication of what we might see in this game as well. If you remember, Chennai had 200 plus scores in the first three games in the IPL as well. So I mean, don't be surprised if that's the case this time as well. Australia are extremely, they have a very good batting lineup, and so do India. So expect a high scoring affair there. And at the same time, in terms of their spin reserves, given like Gurkirat Paji mentioned, like Nikhil Bhai also mentioned, given the absence of Ashton Agar, they definitely are a spinner shot. It'll be very difficult to see how Maxwell can bowl 10 overs day in and day out. If not 10, he'll at least be expected to bowl 6 to 8 overs. At venues like Ahmedabad, Dharamshala, it won't be easy. So they play Netherlands in Delhi. So Delhi was one of the other slow surfaces, so to say. The fact that they're playing Netherlands almost negates that disadvantage. Netherlands themselves have been extremely inept against playing spin, something we discussed yesterday as well. So yeah, all in all, I would say they're playing England in Ahmedabad, they're playing New Zealand in Dharamshala, they're playing India in Chennai. These are the major games that they had to look at, and South Africa and Lucknow, of course. New Zealand, Dharamshala, it'll be a day game, 10:30 a.m. start. Whoever wins the toss, personally speaking, I feel it'll be a win the toss, win the game situation there. If you bowl first, whoever bowls first would want to make use of that first half an hour, first start with the new ball, with the conditions available there. So that'll be a very, very, very exciting game to watch. But yeah, all in all, I'd be fairly neutral.
Yeah,
okay.
I just feel a 10:30 a.m. start sort of negates the early swing. It's because usually when test matches start in India, it's 9:30 a.m. where we are looking at that swing in the first hour. But a 10:30 a.m. start sort of negates that, I feel, to some extent.
But that's also because of the altitude where Dharamshala is. I don't think that 9:30-10 will have as much a difference as say a Bombay or a Bangalore or a Chennai maybe.
True. Yeah. Because the India Sri Lanka games and all that happened in 2017, that was also a 10:30 start from what I remember. So agar India ke saath ho sakta hai, to Australia, New Zealand both have fantastic new ball bowlers. So yeah,
that altitude point is correct. I missed that.
For sure. We're going to, of course, show you Gurkirat's SWOT analysis and show you exactly the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats for the 5-time champions, is it? 6-time? Yep. I keep getting confused. They've won so many. 5 times it is. Meanwhile, Just Cricket, sorry, Akshay, he asks you, do you ever leave your room? Honestly. I mean, he goes places. If you know, you know. Robin saying, "Hi lads, hope you're well. Hope to see you guys more often in the chat. Of course, lots of good questions coming through, which I want to give some to Nikhil right now. And first and foremost, ask him if he agrees with Gurkirat's Australia's predicted 11, because the bone in contention, in my point of view, is that Cameron Green, Marcus Stoinis bit. Are you sitting in the Stoinis team or in the Green team?
No, for now I am in the Stoinis team because I feel again the opportunity to use him elsewhere is better in terms of you can use him up top as well and slip him up in the middle overs depending on the conditions. With Green, I think he's still learning the tricks of the trade. So I feel in that sense Stoinis is better place to start. Though the numbers and the 50 bit is something that you can't control. I think this is the lineup that we'll mostly see. I'm just keen to see whether there is a case anytime that they not play one of Hazelwood or Stark. Stark should any which ways mostly play because I think they'll have to figure a way out to get those wickets regularly because at this point of time, if you look at their attack, there's just one guy who I'm actually worried about running through me as a ODI side. Cummins has blown hot and cold. Zampa has had good days. He's in good form, but then you can maneuver that attack better if you are planning to attack Stoinis and Maxwell. So I think that is something that I'm keen to see how teams go about that. And the first three games that they play in Chennai and Lucknow, if conditions are such that there is slight grip, then I'm keen to see how people target their bowling attack because again their batting is also such that they would like to keep going at a rate. That's what we've seen in the recent times. So whether they keep doing it or there is a change or something like that, and as Abbas says, when Head comes in, I don't know if Labuschagne will be the guy who goes out because as much I want to play Green, I think he's wasted down the order because
Hmm.
he's the guy who at times is taking time, and I don't know whether they'll always have that liberty to give him that time. So maybe I don't know very early, but Green could be a replacement for Marsh if they feel that Marsh gets injured. Marsh bowled 5 overs or sorts of yesterday, which is a good sign for them because then what I was talking about that into the deck holding into Lucknow and Chennai, that is something Marsh will benefit and take a 2-3 for happily when he is fit to bowl.
I'm sure the numbers will suggest something that Gurkirath is chalked up. But before we just go to that SWOT graphic, Akshay, I want to ask you a question that our friend Santosh asked us, and it makes you think: what kind of cricket will they play? We saw them how they went about their business in South Africa. It was kind of kamikaze cricket, and if they bat first, they're targeting 375, 380, and they have the firepower to do that. But in a World Cup, do you think they'll be more suited to defend the total than chase?
Again, it'll also have a lot to do with the surfaces they'll be playing on. So I
Hmm.
don't think they'll have just a one size fits all approach. Ki irrespective of conditions, irrespective of the opposition, they'll do that. But definitely, right now, batting seems to be their strongest suit. In that, their batters are more informed than their bowlers are. So skill wise, I wouldn't really comment. All of them, like they really have a top notch unit. But yeah, in terms of current form, Warner, Labuschagne, Smith, Marsh, all of them have been amongst the runs in the recent past. So that's good signs for them. So they would look to outbat the opposition as much as possible. But yeah, it's hard to say that they're better off defending or better off chasing because agar Chennai jaise surface mein if the surface starts to crumble, then they won't be able to chase irrespective of how good the unit is or whoever it is. So yeah, it'll be difficult to just say it one way or the other.
Okay, let's move on to that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats chart because it is, of course, going to tell you a lot. And Gurkirat, you can take over, please.
Yeah. Do we have a classic?
Yeah,
Yes,
we have a
mute pe
classic.
Gurkirat bhai.
Yeah.
He's on mute, as usual.
Yeah, so joined second best after England on run rate, best run rate against pace. No surprises there when you have Marsh, when you have Smith. Uh, when I mean you look at all those batters, you will not be surprised at that run rate versus pace. There's a lot of skill against pace. Solid at the top, highest run rate at 6 and second best average 40.6 after India. Again, not surprising. Best bowling average in balls per wicket record for a spin unit. Now this is something which probably a decade ago you would have been surprised with, like Australia having the best bowling average and strike rate for a spin unit. But now, with given how Zampa has gone, given how other spinners, there's been Kuhneman playing for some time, there's Agar, and then Maxwell chipping in with overs. There's Travis Head. You know that this is a believable stat, and this is not as surprising in recent times. Opportunities, quite a few all-round options, as Nikhil alluded to. That it could really depend upon who they feel is the guy on that given day. Ample batting depth, again, not surprising given Mitchell Stark is going to bat at 9. Favorable scheduling to ensure semi-final spot despite Agar's injury, and yeah, that's again true as we saw that fixtures list, and have played 6 ODIs in India in the past 6 months. Apart from that, you look at that 11 and you look at that squad, that almost all of them have played enough IPL across venues to know how pitches will behave. So there is literally going to be no surprise for Australia in terms of how pitches are going to behave. A lot of teams will not have played at Lucknow, but almost all Aussie cricketers have played there, so they will know how pitches are going to behave. Weaknesses: second lowest balls per wicket record against spin, 36.6 after Netherlands. Second lowest balls per wicket record in overs, 11 to 40 after Netherlands, 34.8. Third lowest bowling average and balls per wicket records in overs 1 to 10 after South Africa and Netherlands. Now, this more or less tells you how they've struggled for wickets in the first power play. But again, not sure how much can be read into this given Australia have not often played their first 11. And third most expensive bowling unit at the death, 7.8 after Netherlands and England. Not surprising at all, because if you look at the Australian Pacers, none of them are known to be very good at depth. Threat is too many injury concerns. Head ruled out for at least half the games. Agar ruled out and spin unit takes a hit. This is something we have discussed. Stark coming out of a layoff. He's the bowling spearhead. If yesterday's practice game or warm up game is anything to go by, that Stark bit is not going to bother Australia a lot. But in the weaknesses bit, there was something about how the batting has fared against spin. Again, that is not very surprising, because if you looked at Labuschagne, you've looked at Carey, if you looked at Stoinis, playing spin isn't their preferred bowling attack. All of them like pace on the ball, which is why again someone like Maxwell becomes even more important in the middle order. Had Maxwell not been available, I would have said that Australia making the semis could be a huge question mark, because he's really someone who can take on that spin bowling or hit spinners out of the attack in the middle overs. He may not be as consistent as what Klaasen has been in recent times, but he surely has that skill to do that. Wherein, on his day, he could really make opposition captains go clueless about what bowlers to bowl and clueless about their plans. So, Maxwell at 5, with the bat, and him as a part-timer bowler or a sixth bowling option is so important for Australia. Maxwell has a bad tournament. Australia might just barely scrape into the semis. But if Maxwell has a good tournament, that could really be the difference between Australia going the distance and missing out. Because all the things that you look at that middle order and everyone else not scoring runs, or you look at there being no second spinner, the value that Maxwell is going to bring into this team. Him having a bad tournament would really upset a lot of plans for the Australian cricket team.
Okay, I mean, it was a well depicted graphic then. Shout out to Somesh Agarwal, of course, for throwing his insights on that. And before we slip into our predictions and, of course, reckon where Australia will finish and the MVP, I just want to ask Akshay and Nikhil this one, because it makes you think even about their death bowling, and if particularly Adam Zampa can be used in the death, because apparently he's a brilliant T20 bowler too. And I don't like the sound of it, but numbers might suggest so. Boys?
This could work out, because like we have seen in recent ODI games, that pitches have become slower and it's become a little difficult to hit even with the two new balls. So if there is grip on offer, maybe Zampa can work. But if you expect Zampa to bowl 5 in the last 10, then that is asking too much. Maybe you could slip in or use 2 overs of his between overs 41 to 45, or maybe get one in the last 5. But more than 3 overs for any bowler in the last 10 is difficult, even more so for a spinner. What could help is, again, last 10 overs having 5 fielders outside the circle, which is not a luxury that bowlers have in the first 40 overs.
Okay, you guys agree with them? Akshay?
This is something, in fact, Nikhil Bhai and I have spoken about during multiple reviews, previews, and Monday Night Lives. Zampa has definitely been good. Expect him to have 2 to 3 overs. And yeah, like Gurkirat said, to be honest, not just Zampa, I don't think any bowler would be bowling five at the death. At best, like even the likes of Bumrah would bowl three. I'm expecting Zampa also to do the same because he was good both in the South Africa series and the India series. And we even sort of likened to how Kuldeep could potentially also be used that way. So we'll talk more on that later when India's turn does come. So yeah, I do like
Okay.
that.
Fair enough. Hope Maxi of Kings 11 Punjab 2020 season turns up in the World Cup. And speaking of Kings 11 Punjab, just cricket going on to say, as a Kings 11 Punjab fan, I hope Maxwell brings his 2020 IPL form and Aussies are out in the group stage. Jesus. All the IPL references continue because, of course, Pranav Anand chooses Nick Pope over Mo Bobat. And yeah, maybe they should have actually appointed Nikhil instead of Mo. They would have at least saved in terms of
By the way, there's an
logistical costs.
accusation on Avnish. Abhas goes on to say, comment ignore कर देते हो क्या हो रहा है भाई क्या चल
That's
रहा है
on
आपके
me.
राज में
That's on me. I've taken everything of, I mean, every Abbas's comment. Which
who
one have I
else
missed,
could it
mate?
possibly be तू ही है भाई जो comment देख रहा है और
All of you guys have this thing. So, Abbas, tell me which one is it? I've literally taken absolutely everything. Is this the one that you were talking about, Abbas?
compensate करने के लिए सब कुछ दिखा दिया अभी पता
Is
भी
this
नहीं
the one that you're talking about, Abbas? I mean, let me know. I mean, honestly, all you guys as well, watching this, feel free to let us know what your thoughts about Australia are heading into the World Cup because everyone's blindly saying India, Australia, and England. We spoke about England yesterday. We'll speak about India in a bit. But Australia, do you really reckon if they can go on and get it done? Some certainly think so. Let's just finish up then with the predictions and MVP. Where will they finish, boys? Nikhil, I'll start with you here. Uh, MVP first, and then where they'll end up finishing.
So MVP, I think it's very hard to look beyond Glenn Maxwell. He's going to be the guy who's going to save the spin department with his overs everywhere. No matchup tension with him. He can bowl to anyone, anywhere, at any point of time. And then with the bat, I think we all know what he did in the 2015 one when Australia had a great run. And you at times you feared him coming in because that was how good a form and touch he was in. So I think
Yeah.
again the one thing that I think Australia will favor a lot, as Paji also pointed out, is a lot of experience in these conditions. Not a lot of teams have had a lot of people play in these conditions and know them. So everybody will have the intel, but just being there and having done that for a considerable period of time may help Maxwell also be able to adjust his lens and have those good batting knocks. So MVP Maxwell, he comes good. They finish top four. If the bowling doesn't work out, only then they'll slip out of top four. But I think they should finish top four and Glenn Maxwell as the MVP.
Okay, Akshay, Maxwell for you as well.
he was again has nothing to do with a certain red jersey that he dons 6 months from now but yeah uske alawa but since Maxwell's already been mentioned I would also take a few more names who could be very key to Australia's plans should if they want to make the World Cup knockout stages at least. Mitchell Marsh would be a name that ranks high on top of my list. Again, just like why I mentioned Johnny Bairstow would be key to England's plans. Mitchell Marsh will be playing a similar role right up top, and he's been in great form. He's also shown that he can length so hard length so kuch bhi ho, he can demolish it. On his day, if the surface is good enough, he's going to go hard. And given that Warner now is also in good form, he's also striking well. Expect them to have really, really good, strong power plays, and expect Marsh to play a key role in ensuring that happens. So yeah, Marsh would be my MVP. And where would they finish? Top four for sure. उसके बाद क्या होगा वो तो भाई. Yeah.
Okay. Gurkirat, final words from you. By the way, astrologer Sumit Bajaj, I will take your comment when we're discussing India. I promise you, you don't have to heckle us in the chat. Just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Don't do that because the others will get lost, of course. And by the way, cricket.com, I agree with you. So I'll go first in terms of telling you about MVP, and then Gurkirat can have the final say. Like I said, I think it will be Adam Zampa, and I think because there's no Agar, lots more responsibility in him. And I think he's the kind of guy who'll relish the challenge. He'll embrace it. And I also know, fun fact, my friend Pranoy Tipaya, because he has a coffee brand, Kere Haklu, And Adam Zampa has hit him up for all the coffee for this World Cup. So that's going to be interesting to see if there's a little bit of a magic portion from Pranoy and the lot. Right, Gurkirat, I'm thinking Adam Zampa as my MVP and Australia top four. I think I'm safe with that bet. Do you agree with me, my friend, or do you have something up your sleeve?
Partially, I agree. Top four, yes. But for me to pick anyone else but Maxwell as a MVP player would be unfair given how much I spoke about Maxwell. So yeah, I mean, hard to look beyond Maxwell given the amount of roles and responsibilities are going to fall on his shoulders and how he's the glue. He's literally the glue in that side. Uh, Whether it comes to taking on spin bowling, because when it comes to taking on spin bowling, they have two batters. One is Warner, the other is Maxwell, who could really take a batswinners. Everyone else, okay, Smith is there, but you don't expect Smith to straight away hit the spinners out of the attack. He will be sort of the anchor who will change gears according to the situation once he's got his eye in. But the other two, you would really expect them to take on spinners and hit them out of the attack as much as possible and make things easier for them. Mitchell Marsh is very good against pace, but he has shown his struggles whenever spinners have come on, and many times he struggled to pick crisp spinners from the hand. So there's that. And you could sort of say that for the other batters in terms of Carey and Stoinis as well, even though Stoinis has improved a little bit, but rarely. I mean, it's difficult for me to look beyond anyone but Maxwell as the MVP. And yeah, so on with Nikhil over there, like how he said, very difficult to look past Maxwell.
Okay, let us know in the comments, of course, what you guys feel about Australia and whether they can actually make the top four, and if it's just a given because the brand of cricket they've been playing off late makes you think so. But we've seen strange things happen in cricket, so the Australians could bring a surprise again. Let's move on to the second team, and we're going to, of course, discuss Sri Lanka. Remember the last time India hosted the World Cup, it was Sri Lanka who ended up the finalists. And keep your comments coming through, of course. Cricket.com asking randomly, isn't there any article for SA20 auctions? That will be there, of course, I'm sure, this week. We will be talking about the SA20 in the Monday Night Live show. So a little plug in there.
And the
Tomorrow,
weekly newsletter.
And the weekly newsletter. So join Akshay, Nikhil, and me to break down some of the biggest buys of the SA20 auction, Cricket.com, and the rest of you lads as well. So let's move on to Sri Lanka because they did, of course, compete against India in that Asia Cup final. I say compete very politely because they got bundled out that Sunday. And let's see what's been making the news in terms of Sri Lanka. All of this is, of course, available on the cricket.com website and the app. Now, look at those names. Lahiru, Madhushankar, Tikshana named in Sri Lanka's World Cup squad. It is, of course, great because they have already lost Hasaranga and Chamira due to their respective injuries. It's been something which is clouding Sri Lankan cricket in the last 2 months. Even they went at the Asia Cup without pretty much their best attack. Straight up, boys, off the cuff, Sri Lanka, how will they go? Nikhil Popat, you first.
Yeah, again, they are the guys who find new heroes. The theme doesn't change for me, be it Asia Cup or the World Cup. That is something that I'm expecting from them. Being able to pick the guys for that day. And I think they have probably one of the best engine rooms. And by engine room, I mean a 456. I don't know, many will agree with me or not, but I think an engine room of Sadera Samaravikrama, Charita Salanka in this form, and if Kusal Mendis continues to have the run that he has, I think that is as good a 3-4-5 that you can get. And DDS is bound to come good. He's too good a player. In the past, we've talked about him a lot about the balance that what Maxwell adds to Australia is what DDS does for Sri Lanka. So if two of these four guys are able to perform every game, then I think Sri Lanka will look to surprise a lot of opponents because again, my mind goes back to that knock that Sadira and Kusal played versus Pakistan.
Correct.
The ease with which both of them were able to maneuver the field versus Shadab Nawaz, I think you don't see it very often, and conditions are not something that's going to be alien to them. So I'm expecting them to compete, but it's all on the captain. The captain has to just raise the bar a bit more, and then they will be in a much better space. I hope.
Okay. Meanwhile, Santosh Shirappa, you want to say one thing I will be enjoying about Sri Lanka this World Cup is their anthem live from the stadium twice. Anything else is a bonus. MVP already early shots from Cricket Atashan saying Sadira Samar Vikrama, if he steps up his ODI World Cup I think this team will build upon Sudhira's versatile batting against spin as a backup wicketkeeper. And then Sanjay will answer your questions about Sri Lanka at the end of this Sri Lanka preview, just before we start the India one. And yeah, more questions coming through. It's good to see the passion and enthusiasm for Sri Lanka because, look, make no mistake, if they made the Asia Cup final, they're there for a reason, and they were enjoying a long winning streak in ODIs. I think 13 or 14 it was, boys. So, Akshay, let's take a look at their squad right now and make a sense of their selections. Obviously, we just mentioned that they're plagued with injuries, but how do they fare? And do you think that ODI ranking of 7 reflects potentially where they would finish, or am I entirely wrong?
I mean, I do agree agree with you on that. My bad. Yeah, it is a fair reflection of where they would end up. In this World Cup, a squad that's been plagued by injuries, like you mentioned, that it is a bit unfortunate. But their batting seems to be hitting the right notes at the right time. The Asia Cup final, they will also be hoping for their sake that it was an aberration and they wouldn't want to look too much into it. But yeah, right up top, they've got the experience of Karunaratne, they've got the exuberance of Nisanka, who seems like the ODI format has been made for him. It's tailor made for him the way he plays. Like in limited overs, a lot of people had expectations from him in T20s especially, but ODIs really seem to be the place where he's found the right pace at which he needs to go about his innings. So that's great to see. They've got Kushal Mendes in great form, like Nikhil Bhai mentioned. Even in the Asia Cup, it was great to watch the kind of knocks he played time and time again, and he's always been rated highly even by experts for good reason. Dhananjay De Silva is someone I'm looking forward to, especially after Somesh's jinx, where he did mention how Dhananjay could potentially be the most. I'm forgetting what was the term he used, but it wasn't pleasant words to say the least. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. A great utility player, a great team person, always like offers value with the bat and ball, just like most other number sixes and number sevens. So looking forward to seeing him. Lastly, Dunit Velalge, youngster. Lot of people rate him highly. Had a fantastic Asia Cup, bowled really well against India. We saw that six for, or was it? Yeah, it was a six for. So yeah, great signs, but not for this World Cup probably. Hopefully, by the next World Cup, they will still have some side in place. And my man Dilshan Madhushanka is there. By hook or crook, he somehow made it to the squad. Let's hope he's fit enough to be able to play more than just a few games for them.
Okay, we'll take a look at the fixtures with Gurkirat right now. And before that, Cricket Dashan pouring in his thoughts about Tunit Vallage. And he goes on to say he's a pick who can be used as a Rangna Herath kind of a role, where he was brought in seeing the conditions. The reason is Dunit currently bats slower. Ankar Biswas, meanwhile, saying Sri Lanka may not win much, but rest assured they will give it their all, fight till the last ball. And there's more, wait for it, boys, because Satvik going on to say, best case scenario for Sri Lanka is probably 3 wins. Biggest problem is Shanaka. He's an incredibly reluctant bowler, and form has fallen off at the cliff for the bat. I mean, let's not throw our daggers out. He is, of course, going to be leading that Sri Lanka side, and I know he's quick to be slated.
The format, he's averaging 6 since 2022. 6. So there's only way up. So hopefully that's where it goes.
Yeah, and there's some positive comments as well coming in, saying that Nisanka, Sudhira, Kushal Pereira, DDS, Theeksana, Velalagi will take this team to at least 6 to 7 wins. Speaking of 6 to 7 wins, they have 10 games. So let's take a look at Sri Lanka's fixtures with Gurkirat. And, of course, South Africa waits for them in Delhi, your beloved Delhi boy. What are they going to do, Gurkirat?
So if Sri Lanka, if I'm in the Sri Lankan camp, I'd be happy playing South Africa in Delhi and Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan and Hyderabad also is not something that can be put beyond. Even could be something that you could say is a venue that favors Pakistan as such. Australia at Lucknow also. If the pitch is slower, I mean, why not? But given post the Netherlands game, if you look at their fixtures, England at Bengaluru, India at Mumbai, Bangladesh at Delhi is going to be an interesting game where any side could come on top, and then New Zealand and Bengaluru. So I think there are at least 4 wins that Sri Lanka should look to manage. If like how Nikhil said, if that engine room can do well, then maybe I won't be surprised if they can manage 5 wins and finish in the top half. My problem or my issue with Sri Lanka is that yes, all of us have been talking about Hasaranga's injury and how He's their best bowler now. Replacing him would be difficult, but uh, now there is no Dushmanta Chamira, so they have Lahiru Kumara. Now Lahiru Kumara does have the pace that Chamira brings in, but he's not as disciplined. Many times when it's not Lahiru Kumara's day, he can go for a lot of runs. Uh, in a way, he's a bowler who's of a similar mold like Lockie Ferguson. It's just that Lockie Ferguson has still had more performances, but Lahiru Kumara has not been able to translate those performances as much. So they'll definitely need that pace attack to step up at some point of time. Madhushanka is good with the new ball. Rajita is accurate. Patirana is still developing, so I'm not sure how much can we expect from him. So again, this is another team that has the tools to do well. You wouldn't really say that this team can get choked against spin in the middle overs. That won't happen. This team does have the tools to do well, but will they come together and punch above their weight remains to be seen. They also have Karuna Ratne, who's very experienced and has had the experience of playing in India, and you could say he's an experienced campaigner in many
But
ways.
would he start? Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
Kushal Pereira?
that's what I'm coming to. So I'm not sure if he would start straight away because you have Kushal Pereira there, you have Pathum Nisanka. So uh, sometimes just teams can get sucked into this bit where if you have a senior player, uh, you just play him for the seniority and not because he may or may not be the part of your best 11. So would be interesting to see which route do they take with the Karuna Ratne too.
Okay. By the way, a lot of comments coming through with Sri Lanka. It's very, very good to see because many people reckon that Sri Lanka could surprise. The Pacers, which are in Sri Lanka's side, are outright bad, though. Cricket.com saying Pratirana is decent. Madhushanka is just a good power play operator. So on pacey wickets, they might lose most of their games. Sanjay going on to say Bangladesh and Delhi could be tricky, and going by the practice saying we could go either way. And Jagmeet, good to see you after a while. Hello, boys. Sri Lanka may finish 8th to 9th. We've not got to the predictions bit yet because we're waiting kindly for Nikhil's 11. But before that, his SWOT analysis of Sri Lanka. Nikhil, take it away and talk to me because this is going to be something that all Lankan fans will be peering into the screen for.
Yep, and not no surprising that the strengths include spin, which is good to see. Third best wicket taking sides. We all remember the record of bowling out opponents, and that was a good thing to have. That is something that's good to see here. 33.4 balls per wicket. Third best bowling average for spinners. Not surprising. Economy of 7.2 in overs, 41 to 50. Something that I will discuss in the after this. How I feel Thikshan and Velalage may be used on different decks. So those definitely remain their strengths. The weakness is again something that we've talked about. Second lowest batting average in balls per wicket record after Netherlands. Not surprising. You can have those kind of games when you have a slightly vulnerable top order at times. And again, Asia Cup did not help. Third lowest run rate in overs 11 to 40 after Netherlands Bangladesh. This is something which I'm hoping to get. They'll get better at with Sadira and Kusal and Asalanka now in much better shape. And second lowest batting average and lowest balls per wicket records in overs 1 to 10. Again, not surprising. And again, here I'll not be too harsh because I feel uh, conditions haven't been such for teams to really explode at the top. So I think the weakness is something where I still see a potential for them to cover up. Favorable scheduling, yes, 2 games each in Delhi, Lucknow. I have in my mind at least 4 to 5 games where they should do well. And for me to be even saying it, despite not having Chamil and Hasaranga, just tells you the kind of people that they have if they click. Good recent form as shown in the Asia Cup. That of course it's a very good opportunity. Lot of all-round options with few players experienced in Indian conditions. Something that is not new for subcontinent players, but hopefully they'll be used in the right games. The threads, as Paji also pointed out, potent backups in terms of seniors that are there, and there are some inexperienced guys, batters not used to high scoring games. I'm hoping there won't be too many, but if they are, then it is something to look out for. And too reliant on bowlers to win games is also true. But again, every team will have one strength to really back on. So I feel coming back to the point about the 5 games which I feel they should definitely do well in, and they have a very good chance to win is with a heavy heart South Africa in Delhi, because I feel that's where Thikshana Velalage can do the job. Then Lucknow games, they can trouble Australia. I'm not saying they'll beat them, but they can definitely trouble them. Netherlands, given they lost wickets to Labuschagne yesterday, I'm hoping Sri Lanka will definitely do better in that aspect. And the Bangladesh game, while yes, it could be very, very tricky, I'm hoping they are able to pull it off. And Afghanistan game is where I'm hoping that they use Lahiru Kumara well. If I remember it rightly, it was Lahiru Kumara only who had a very good spell against them, bowling a lot of good short balls. So that is something that hoping that they are. See, they are a side who's at times very tactically good. So that is something that I'm hoping that they'll be able to pull it off, because the point about leaking a lot of runs on pacey wickets, they are not playing too many. They are playing Pakistan in Hyderabad, England in Bangalore, New Zealand in Bangalore, India in Wankhede. That's just the four games that are there in pacey wickets. So that's only where they may be trouble. If they're able to eke out 4 wins out of those remaining 6 games, they will be very, very well placed. And then those tough games, if one of those X factor players just step up on that day, you never know where they will end up. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thanks for the classic.
Damn it! I hate it because I keep slating Gurkirat and it happens to me as well. It happens to the best, they say. But it just makes me think about Sri Lanka's fixtures, right, Akshay? And I'm like, do they have to beat Afghanistan? They have to beat, you would say, arguably Bangladesh, and they probably have to beat Netherlands. So those three are a given. What they do with the rest of the big boys, the other 6 games, like Nick said, if they can just get 1 or 2 wins here on surfaces kind of more conducive to their attack, then you're just like, wow, okay, fine. Sri Lanka, are not bad.
Another thing that I want to add here is that they are playing their last fixture is versus New Zealand in Bangalore. Now it is traditionally not a slow surface, but towards the end of the tournament, with matches having been played on that deck, it may be slower than what it usually is. So it will not be, you can't be sure that it would be a flat pacey wicket straight away. It could even turn out to be slightly slower, which would mean that Sri Lanka will be in with a chance even there, even though it's Bangalore.
Yeah. And next, I mean, we spoke about the 11s, we spoke about the middle order, we spoke about what they have at their disposal. But of course, you've gone for these guys. And the one that I actually agree with you, I don't know if many people are going for Karuratne, but Kusal Pereira starts regardless, right?
Yeah, I think he's the guy that you want to set the tempo up top. Nissanka will bat deep, and again that engine room 3, 4, 5, great, as good as they get. Shanaka, yes, since qualifiers he's averaging 6, so I'm just hoping that he's able to give himself the right batting role and just come in at the right entry point, get small amount of runs before, and then you can go really deep into those big hits that he's able to hit, because they will need the De Silva and Shanaka to really ensure that they are only coming in the 45th over, because if they are coming in earlier, then they are losing too many wickets up top. So hopefully the top 5 can ensure that those two are coming at the right entry point. Velalage, again, we've talked in depth about how good he is, and the last 3, I think they just pick themselves: Tikshina, uh, Pathirana, and Rajita. You could drop Rajita for Lahiru Kumara if you want to on on a surface where you feel there will be good bounce. Rajita can use the swing well. Kumara is better at using the pace at good length and hard length. So there is a good option there to mix and match. And yeah, I think Karuna Ratne is probably the only debate that you can have. Otherwise, I think this is possibly the strongest 11 that they can feel.
Okay, Abbas going to say Lahiru question mark.
Yeah, so he's coming back from an injury, and again, just named. So let's see. I'm more than happy to swap him out for Rajita. Again, it'll depend entirely on conditions.
Okay,
Nikhil,
okay, I'll just come to you 1 second because Akshay, they finished 6th in the 2019 World Cup. Just predictions and MVP from you quickly before we get to Gurkirat and a couple of points that Cricket.com and Santosh Udupi are making. Where do you think they'll finish? Why? And MVP, and then Gurkirat can take over.
I mean, like I said earlier, ODI ranking 7th. I mean, being 7th in the ODI ranking system. So I would say that's where they'll finish the World Cup as well. Barring the Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Netherlands encounters, it's hard to see them eke out many more victories. Yeah, they do have names who can potentially win them the games, but probability ka khel hai, to yeah, I highly doubt ki they will be able to do that in a high stakes situation like the World Cup. So yeah, I'll just play it safe and say number 7, that they'll finish 7th. But I just wanted to ask one question, Nikhil bhai. Lahiro definitely injury se वापस आ रहा है, and given a choice, yeah, they can sort of swap him. But what about Dilshan? Don't you think the left arm angle and the fact that in pace friendly conditions, new ball ke sath, he can really wreak havoc? So you see him also potentially coming in, or
Yeah, I think the only bit is, see, I think the spot open is only of Rajita, because that top six you can't drop anyone. You cannot drop Tikshana Patirana. I think without Patirana they'll have no hope in the end overs. So those two kind of just select themselves. And again, Velalage is someone who's going to give them that batting depth. And I will not be surprised if he's even promoted at times ahead of DDS and Shanaka, because I feel he has that potential to really bat out phases. So again, if they want to drop an all-rounder for Madhushanka also playing, I have no problem with it. I just don't see it happening as much. So again, DDS ka form will become very, very crucial, because if DDS continues to not contribute with bat and not taking wickets, then they might have to put Velalage up and then hope that the top five really bat deep to play that extra bowler. I don't think that
Okay.
is something that they want to go into.
Paji, do you agree with cricketer Tashan here? Because he's saying, had Sri Lanka got the entire bowling lineup fit, Chamira and Vani included, would you have considered them a team close to the semis, considering their spinners and decent enough batters for the subcontinent? And he goes on to say he thinks Sri Lanka 5th position, but realistically 7th.
You definitely say that they would have been a stronger force to reckon with, but with Sri Lanka, so many times you see that the batting just doesn't come together and give bowlers enough runs to bowl at. So that's something that has always been my worry with them. So yeah, I mean, I their bowling's definitely weakened because of those injuries, but like Nikhil said, that they still have resources and they still have the personnel to do well. But a lot is going to depend even now on how they bat, because many times you just felt that uh, they've lost enough wickets in the first 15 overs for bowlers to not have a chance, especially while batting first. So many times they're three down in the first 15 overs, and then recovering from there becomes difficult. I mean, you can only hope only so much from your 6, 7, 8. Yes, there is batting. Shanaka can bat, Velalage can bat, and so can others. But you want one of the top three to bat well and score hundreds. Now someone like Pathum Nisanka, he gets starts, he will cross 30, but doesn't really convert those 30s into big runs. And yes, he's young, he'll learn with time, but that is where I feel sometimes Sri Lanka just miss out on taking that next step. When Sri Lanka were a very good ODI side, you had someone in the top three. Once they were set, they knew that they had to bat through, and that doesn't happen so often for Sri Lanka. In fact, that is something that even Bangladesh have been struggling with in recent times. So that is important. If one of the top three, like Kushal Pereira, is
So
obviously in the
is
11,
one of the top three your MVP then?
Uh, MVP it's difficult to pick one. I was actually going to go for Vela Lage, given how well he's bowled in recent times and his batting potential, which I feel can help Sri Lanka finish strongly and add those 15-20 extra runs. But can't really say if one of those top three could be the MVP, because uh, there is potential, but beyond potential, you've not seen a lot of consistency. Even Kushal Pereira on his days is unstoppable, and
Exactly.
the day he
KJP, bro. Kusal
yeah
Janak Pereira is my MVP for sure. And I
yeah
think they'll
so
finish maybe 7th.
so the day he's able to kick off, he could really hit pacers to all places and make life difficult for opposition. But those days don't happen enough. If those days were happening enough, he would also be a consistent part of the Sri Lankan team, which it's not always his fault, because Sri Lankan cricket is also not uh, the best run cricket board out there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Shaunak just clipped that part and played it in loop and then sent it to everyone in Sri Lankan cricket circles. Just joking. Of course, Babarao Apte joining in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Sri Lanka pace bowling is very, very poor. It feels sad to even look at that. And Sanjay going in to say, now thanks to India, Sri Lanka have an Asalanka and hence DDS is not undroppable. And no one is talking about the other Kusal Mendes saying cricket.com, despite his struggles against pace, but if he comes 10 overs, he might be a force against spin. This is the KKR problem of 2 number 4s in the Sri Lankan lineup. Right. Thanks for that and your insights about Sri Lanka. Of course, cricket.com, I know you have so many questions and I absolutely love it. We'll, in fact, end it with this particular chat. And I'm sure that's also going to be a hot talking point on Twitter when Sri Lanka plays this World Cup. Would you prefer KJP, whose performances have been recorded that he bats in a Deepak Patel style, or Dimuth, whose ODI performances have been bad, but he's the kind of batter that they need in a World Cup? It's a tough one. I would go for the former. Boys, very quickly.
Yeah, I'll go for the former too, and that is KJP, because again the game is going ahead in that manner. If you already have a guy who's going to anchor at the other end and be the accelerating guy, so I don't want two of them. And then again, even if Dimit gets a good ball after 20 balls, the score might still be 10 of 20. But if it's with KJP, the score might just be 25 or 30. Again, just assuming that, because that's the kind of cricket that he's playing. And Sri Lanka want that platform. Sri Lanka want that slight platform, even if it is say 50 for 1 in 10 overs or 48 for 1 in 10 overs. It gives Sadira and the rest to something to then just make a platform, get into a good score, and at least get the pass score, if not the cushion one. So I think if Dimuth was in great touch, then definitely would have preferred Dimuth because of for his consistency. But you already have Nissanka at the other end. So for someone who can really just set the game up, give them 75, 80, and even in 2 games, if he's able to do it, I'm fine with it. Just 2 good games, big ones. Give me 75 or 80 in the first 10. Your job is done, because that's what you're picking him for.
And on slow pitches, that first power play becomes very
Yeah,
important, because
exactly.
you know that scoring will get tougher. So
Yeah.
if you want an opener for that role who could actually take the attack to the opposition, it would be.
Yeah, for sure.
I
We'll
don't
leave
think
that comment over there.
Elrond.
It's fine. It's all
Yes.
right. And Robin Kumar is saying, I feel Velagame is a bit overrated this time. He's been great, but he's had assistance from the pitch of the bowlers from the other end. Yet to see him performance and pressure game. Did you see the Asia Cup? Did you see that Afghanistan game where he got 2 crucial wickets? Robin, come
I
on.
just have no, I just have one thing to say. Again, not related to you or Robin or anyone. I just feel we are just looking at the perfect plays every time.
Yeah.
We are just looking at putting so many filters on people that okay, when you filter continent filter, pressure game filter, knockout game filter, I say you will not get anybody perfect. Nobody's going to score everywhere and in every condition. You'll have to take what it comes. And he's very very young. So I think
Spot on.
I can understand you can have that filter with people who've played a lot of games, but the guy is just coming through. So I think thoda bahut leave रखना पड़ेगा. Let's be a bit more patient.
Okay, patient we will be, because lots of people have been patient in this stream because they're waiting for India. They've been waiting all weekend for the preview of India right now. And it's a perfect comment to take me into that India segment, because Ankar Biswas going to say Australia have Maxwell, South Africa have Markram, Sri Lanka have Asalanka DDS, Pakistan have Aga Iftikhar South, England have Root Livingston, New Zealand have Phillips Dal. Who do we have? हमारे पास
right
क्या
arm quick
है?
bowler.
क्या है
Right
हमारे
arm
पास?
quick
The
bowler.
Lord.
Number three who bowls right arm quick bowler.
Oh,
Oh my word.
You have the best leg spinner that there is in Kuldeep Yadav, and you have KL Rahul. Try finding it in any other teams.
Of course, and we have an emperor, a hitman if needed. We have some fire in terms of Shreyas. But look, gimmicks apart, jokes apart, we're going to be
Yeah.
previewing India right now. So give us a quick like on this particular video if you guys are watching, and subscribe to the cricket.com channel. Fantastic things coming your way. And as usual, we'll start off with the news surrounding the Indian camp at this moment in time. Before we get into the SWOT, the predicted 11, the strengths and the weaknesses, and of course, not to forget the fixtures that India have at their disposal. They're going to be playing next Sunday, of course, so which is going to be absolutely rocking against Australia.
Yeah, and it's just apt that the guy that we've given this team to is just whatever that is needed to do. So yes, let's go ahead from here.
Exactly. Akshay will be breaking it down, but of course, we start with the squad, boys. And I just want to talk about these are the 15 who are going to be potentially, dare I say, in textbooks, history books, cricketing folklore. I don't want to get carried away, but look at this particular squad that India have dished out. They, of course, ranked the number 1 team It was in 2015 when Australia were ranked the number one team. They hosted the World Cup. 2019, England ranked the number one team, hosted the World Cup. And 2023, India ranking the number one team and hosting the World Cup. So, boys, is this going to be something to, of course, scare the other teams in the world? Look at the names there. And Gurkirat, you can start here first. Keep it brief because there's so much chat about India. What do you like about the squad the most? The most?
Variety in bowling attack and variety in batting. I know there is no no left arm pacer or a left-handed batter in the first 11, but you will struggle to find the quality that is there in the Indian first 11. Gill and Rohit complement each other. There is Virat. You have then 4 and 5 with Shreyas and KL. Uh, Hardik at 6. I mean, the only point of worry with the Indian 11 is that batting at 6 and 7, because Hardik's not scored enough runs and Jadeja's not scoring anything in recent times. But apart from that, uh, we've discussed so much about teams struggling at death bowling, but you will not find that an issue with the Indian team, given Bumrah is there, and Siraj has also become a good death bowler. His Yorker percentage has gone up. So and there is an able backup in Mohammad Shami too. So uh, barring India not having a left-hander in the first 11 as a batter or as a bowler, you rarely you to find weaknesses or in terms of combination, you will be clutching at straws. So a lot of bases covered in the first 11 and the squad.
Okay, Nikhil, what about India winning it? What do they have to do things that do they just emulate that 2011 World Cup? And I say that because I have merchandise from that 2011 World Cup. If you guys know, you know, MS Dhoni, Zaheer Khan, Yuvraj, all of that, just showing off right now. And remember the Nike bat, the good old Nike bat. So can we, of course, think about it as a positive thing going into the World Cup? We have the guys. There's Virat, there's Rohit, Bumrah is fit right now. India start favorites, and India can win the competition, surely.
Yeah, they can very well. And again, it's how apt that the guys that you have, and you take out that subsequent roles in this one. Dhoni, KL Rahul, very key guy. You take Zaid Khan, you have Bumrah at the other end, very key guy for you to do that. So I think in terms of personnel, as Paji said, you're ticking almost most boxes here. I'll just say there are two things that I think are the only thing that will stop this team from going through. One is accelerating from your 6 and 7, that those two guys at that spot, if it comes down to them having a good day multiple times, that is where there is one issue. And while Paji is sure of Endo's wickets, I'm not too much, because India haven't had a lot of good time bowling at the end. And for a long period of time, we've had very good starts. We've had teams 5 and 6 down, and then we've allowed them to get to a par score. So the only thing that I'm looking at in terms of closing it out is better usage of people and getting conditions right, so that you are closing the game out far early. Do not let it drift at any point of time. As long as this team is looking for wickets at every point of time, I think they'll do just fine. But if they think that they'll do it later, I think it could be the troublesome. And again, as Padi said, this is clutching to straws only. So please take that with a pinch of salt.
Take it with a bucket of salt, because it's India and it's Indian cricket that we're talking about. And Abbas Kunde rightly going on to say his team. Remember, let us know what you guys think. A, will India win the World Cup? That's the inevitable $1 million question. And B, who will be in that playing 11 against Australia next Sunday? Abbas saying Rohit, Gill, Virat, Iyer, Rahul, Hardik, Jadeja, Shardul/Ashwin in spin conditions. Siraj, Bumrah, Kuldeep. No Shami, we need batting. No left-hand batter crying. So no Shan. Shardul's wicket, not so lucky. I mean, honestly, this is, of course, a chat for you guys to have right now in the comments, and tell us what you feel. Vedang, Araikar, if you're new, of course, please subscribe. He goes on to say, boys, one of the worst catching percentage in recent times. India has thoughts. Perfect plug-in for the Monday Night Live show tomorrow, because we have the man who was the Team India fielding coach of the last World Cup, the 2019 World Cup, which is R. Sridhar. He's going to be joining us tomorrow in the first 10 minutes of the show. So stick in, and we'll, of course, ask some of your questions to him. Maybe one of this, Vedang, if you can tune in tomorrow. But look, lots have been made about India's fixtures as well, saying, yeah, New Zealand, we're playing Dharamshala, we're playing, Australia and Chennai, and Zampa and Maxwell will be all over like a rash. I want to talk about the fixtures right now. And Akshay, before your SWOT, how confident are you about India's fixtures, mate? Because Australia, like I said, in Chennai, And then Afghanistan, I'm surely thinking Rashid's not going to have like some dream fifer.
Australia and Chennai, I don't think anyone's as upset with it as you are. I don't think anyone's as scared of Zampan Maxwell as you are. Probably when Ashton Agar was still there, yeah, maybe that Australia game in Chennai was going to be a bit tricky. But now, given Agar's absence, I feel it is India's game to lose. Afghanistan and Delhi, sure, yeah. I mean, if Rashid or Mujib, sort of have one of those days where they run through the lineup and get a nice 5 for or a 6 for, it could be difficult. But more or less, India would be happy with these fixtures. They're playing England in Lucknow. They're playing Pakistan in Ahmedabad, which would be a fantastic game to watch because Pakistan again have a good pace attack. Ahmedabad surface would aid them as well, so that'll be very interesting to watch. But I don't, barring the New Zealand game in Dharamshala, there's no fixture that India would look at and sort of be a bit worried. How do we go about this? So
South
that game,
Africa
yeah.
and Kolkata?
Nah, man. India has a more than competent bowling attack, a more than competent batting lineup to be able to take care of it. And South Africa's bowling itself has been very weak. We spoke about this on Friday as well, where, apart from Rabada, if he himself doesn't come good, the likes of, you can't really expect too much from the rest of them. Gerald Curtsey, again, all of these are new names. They've not even played 20 ODIs of like. How do you expect them to sort of come good in a World Cup all of a sudden? So yeah, let's cut them some slack there. And yeah, wouldn't really be too worried about it. Kohli's birthday after all, so if anything, I'm expecting the Kohli special that day.
I can't wait for that game, and I can't wait for your SWOT analysis as well in a bit. But lots of people in the chat saying the same thing, which is, of course, not just the template and how they play, but even the combination that they're going with. Too many right-handers in the first 11. Ankar Bishwas going on to say no left hand in the top 6. Jadu Zodia batting form, long tail, batters who can't bowl, a few weaknesses. And every Indian, whether you like it or not, guys, have, of course, compared the 2011 World Cup team to the 2023 World Cup team. And that 2011 World Cup team, Gurkirat, was brilliant because they had batters who could bowl in the top order. They had that perfect balance between left-handers and right-handers, aka Yuvraj, Raina, so on and so forth. So is that too good to be true and dreaming that way, or do you think these guys can still pull it off?
I'm really not sure how much of this could be a criticism of the team that batters don't bowl. See, it's been 12 years since the 2011 World Cup. ODI cricket as a whole has undergone sea change. You have two new balls right now. That makes a huge difference in terms of how easier it is for finger spinners to operate in the middle overs. I mean, if you just look at this as an instance, a spinner bowling the 13th over in a T20 game is bowling with a older ball than someone who comes into bowl in the 21st over in an ODI game. That's a huge factor. And in
Yeah.
2011 World Cup, you had five fielders outside the circle. Now, from overs 11 to 40, you have only four, and the power play remains the way it is. So, I'm really not sure how much of it is that much of an issue. If you have six bowlers who can do the job day in and day out, you really don't know. I mean, again, I feel saying that your top five doesn't bowl is clutching at straws. If you have six,
Just to add to it, we already have people who can do a bit of both, but we don't want them and we want specialists. So even if we had people who could bowl and if you played them, the complaint would be कि यार now also अरे but Shami is a better bowler than Shardul. अरे but then we are getting some batting from Shardul. अरे but what if how much, so this will never stop. You'll have to find a way that okay, you don't have it, you don't have it. This is the best top five that is there in the country. Let's just back it.
Yeah, and you observe the fixtures closely, and it's something that Satwik gets bang on because he said, in some way, somewhat, it just honestly shapes up to be the perfect sort of look and feel for India, at least on paper, because we go back to that graphic. You have Australia, then you get a breather against Afghanistan before Pakistan, then you have Bangladesh, then you get a breather before New Zealand, and then, of course, England, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Netherlands in not quick succession because they have been spaced out. But of course, India will be playing mostly on some Thursdays and Saturdays and some Sundays as well, and will be there to give you all the stuff that you guys need. Right, Akshay, time to, of course, move on to your SWOT analysis. By the way, all you guys watching this, please like this video because I noticed lots of people have liked this video, but not that much as the people watching it. So if you guys are loving our content, please drop a comment below and we'll of course pin the best one at the end of the show. And I know the show will get chaotic once we have Akshay's predicted 11 out, because I'm sure we'll have some sort of argy-bargy discrepancies and be like, how are you playing him? Mazak chal raha hai, and all of that. But first, the SWOT analysis, sir. Talk to me, Akshay. And what are India's? I mean, we can see it. Just go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of strengths, a very, very, very settled unit, and probably the first time in a very long time that they're entering the World Cup with pretty much all of their 11 sorted. The number 7 position, yeah, like we discussed, is still in contention in terms of us not having decent enough options, but we still know who's going to start there, and having that clarity itself is sort of heartening to watch. So strengths may, if we look at our batting in the power play or just overall across the innings, we've been the second best after England, who've been the team to beat both in terms of batting and their bowling. So it's good to see that we are sort of closing in on them. In the World Cup, we play them in Lucknow, so the surfaces there wouldn't be that batting friendly. So that would also be an interesting matchup. Best batting average amongst all teams, high across pace and spin. This is thanks to the fact, just like how Nikhil Bhai mentioned, we don't have too many multi-dimensional players. So we have specialists, we have players for those specific roles. There's Kohli at 3, there's Iyer at 4, there's Rahul at 5. It's a very settled unit. All of them have earned their spot there. So that's good to see. And you can see that numbers also reflect just that, how all of them have been really, really good. They've been the best, they've been the best wicket-taking side, especially in the new ball. Siraj has been good in the last 20 odd months. Bumrah also coming back and bodes well for them. They might also look to use Hardik Pandya with the new ball, who's not been too bad at all. That could help them use Bumrah and even Siraj, for that matter, better in the middle and the end overs where they've sort of struggled. If we go into the weaknesses, a very long tail. Practically playing 3 number 11s from number 9 onwards. That could sort of be a bit of a bother for them. Some might argue that Kuldeep Yadav is better than a number 11, but yeah, we all have our opinions. Top 6, all of them are right-handers, so that makes it quite unidimensional. A lot of our viewers have also pointed that out. Ishan Kishan could probably have helped us solve that, but having a settled unit, having players who know their roles is a lot more important than just trying to, force fit left-handedness into your lineup. So it's fine, I guess. Batting run rate at position number 6 to, from position number 6 to number 8 is lower than, Pakistan and all these Sena nations. So that's going to be a bit difficult to process, to digest, because India will be overly reliant on their top 6 to get runs. But I don't think that's too bad a problem to have, because at the end of the day, you expect your top 6 to anyway get runs. The fact that their lower order hasn't gotten enough runs could bite them only when their top 6 fails, which happens far and few in between, and they'll hope that remains to be the case even in the World Cup. In terms of opportunities, they are playing at home, so that's definitely going to be a huge factor. Having all the support, having all the fans rooting for them as their 12th man, that'll always be great. They also have proper backups for most options, for most of their contentious options, or options, so to say. So be it Jadeja spot, they've got an Ashwin for backup. Might not be like for like, but still good enough. Offers spin value, offers value with the bat, so that's there. Shardul Thakur offers that additional batting cushion for them lower down the order. Siraj ke liye, there's Mohammad Shami coming in. So bowling may they have backups. Batting ke liye, if you look at what they've done, because they have such a settled unit, all they've done is go for a keeper backup in case of injury concerns. He'll also double up as a floater. He's open for India. He's batted in the middle order. So Ishan Kishan would be their sort of backup option. Barring that, they've also got Sky, who did show that, if given proper clarity and if given a designated role, he can thrive. He knows how to play T20s. He's cracked that format, and he knows how to bring that into ODI cricket as well. So that's also good to see. Coming into the World Cup, all of their batters have been informed, and they also have the experience of playing these games, man. Like, all these players have been playing IPL day in and day out. They know what it takes to win these big games. We have Rohit Sharma leading them, who's won his team 5 IPL titles, who's been a part of victorious T20 World Cups, victorious Champions trophies. And we've got Ashwin and Kohli from the victorious 2011 campaign. So definitely all that experience does count come these big games, come these high stakes encounters. Lastly, if we move on to threats, pressure of expectations. This is something really, it's one of those intangibles that you can't really talk much about. And it also goes on to show that their 11 as such does not really have any loopholes. And that's why we have to dig into intangibles to understand what could potentially threaten their road to the finals. Hardik's fitness, that could be another cause for concern. Although he did do well in the Asia Cup. I mean, well, as in he was able to chip in with overs and also bat decently with no injury concerns. So they'll be hoping he'll be able to stay fit throughout. Jadeja's batting form. This is the only singular point of concern for the Indian unit. Bowling mein Jadeja has been good. He gives them overs regularly, no issues. Batting, he's really struggled to get going against pace. This is his sort of depleted game against spin is something all of us knew about, but we expected him to compensate for it by going after pace. But him not being able to do that as well is really going to sort of keep the entire top order in check. They'll have to be a bit more cautious. They probably could be a bit more cautious given how their lower order has been struggling. And lastly, yeah, like one of our viewers mentioned, if I'm not wrong, it was no, it was one of our new viewers. I thought it was Ankar, but no, it was
Vedang.
Vedang. Yeah, my bad. Catching form is going to be a cause for concern. They had a lot of misfields. They had a lot of errors in the field. Shardul Thakur, in particular, again, at the risk of name calling, didn't have the greatest of days in the field during the Australia ODI series. Hopefully, that was just an aberration, and that won't be something they'll be too worried about in the World Cup. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well presented. I think if you look at that SWOT analysis, you guys can check out more fantastic features about certain things about Team India going into this particular World Cup and how they will fare. Now, we will use this opportunity not to, of course, just give us our predictions right now and lend us our thoughts on the MVP. Lots of people, of course, are already kind of letting rip in the comments below, like Santosh Uruppa saying top 3 MVP KL. Abbas Kunde, meanwhile, going on to say, only game I concern is versus England. We beat then confidence. And Satvik saying number 4 and 5 for India is not just a problem for India anymore. Raz likely to play most games, but one of Kishan Iriskai will be played to suit some specific game plan against opposition. Speaking of the 11, let's just get the graphics done and dusted with and have Akshay as playing 11 for India. Now, I don't know whether I should do a drum roll and help this guy survive the onslaught of daggers he's going to get from Nikhil, Gurkirat, me, and everyone in the comments. What has Akshay gone for in terms of his playing 11 for India? Let's go. So talk to me, Akshay. You got, of course.
Wait a minute.
Oh, 1 second. You don't have Kuldeep. Oh my God, he's already got it.
Calm down.
Leave
Calm
it.
down. Why is... Wait, I changed it. I had Kuldeep in my 11.
Don't now throw the producer under the bus. I knew you were going to do this. You had Kuldeep.
Calm down. Close. Dude.
Let me open the WhatsApp group.
Exactly.
Yeah, please do.
Meanwhile, okay, talk to me about the rest of your team.
I admit this was the 11 I came ahead with. I came up with for the first time, and I was like, yeah, this has decent batting depth. Why were we worried about batting depth? Then Avnish rightly pointed out कि भाई कुलदीप कहाँ है, and I did admit कि हाँ
and
कुलदीप
also
चाहिए.
You would have had Akshar in the squad if he was fit. I mean, in the playing 11, ridiculous. Jadeja, respect.
Okay, I have to help the poor guy here. Yeah, like his first 11, he admits that he said that there was something missing, and then in the updated 11, he did have Kuldeep. But yeah, I mean,
सच्ची में ये गजब.
Come to think of it, it's a huge surprise. It's a huge surprise that you miss out someone like Kuldeep in the 11 in the first place.
It shows your thinking in terms of, okay, you're not even thinking for your main wicket-taking spin option. Kuldeep,
goes on to show how ardent an Indian cricket fan I am. नेदरलैंड्स का 15 बताने को बोलो अभी बता देगा एक झटके में से.
Okay, all jokes apart though, why have you gone for this particular 11? Okay, fine, let's factor in Kuldeep.
I haven't. Yeah,
okay, fine, Kuldeep for Ashwin, right? I take it.
Of course, yeah.
So you're going to play Thakur. Are you going to play Thakur in Chennai?
Of course, they all pick themselves. We need that batting cushion.
So Ashwin doesn't walk in, right? Because you're not having the sentimental card here.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about the best 11 for the World Cup, not condition specific. So this is going to be the skeleton, and from here you can probably plus or minus based on conditions, based on what they feel, based on current form. But again, to begin with, like I mentioned while we spoke about Australia, this is going to be the first game in Chennai. So us expecting the pitch to turn to grip so soon, I don't think that's going to happen that much. So Thakur could potentially stay in the 11. Ashwin will be replaced by Kuldeep Yadav. This was essentially the 11 they had in the Asia Cup finals, barring Pandya and if I'm not wrong, Gill. Or yeah, so that's pretty much it. So Sharma, Gill, they pick themselves. Kohli, Iyer, Rahul in the middle order. They also pick themselves. Pandya, of course,
But
with
Akshay, the questions have been absolutely asked in the comments. Akshay bhai, opposition will score 350 plus in every match. And then Cricket International saying, if Akshay is the manager of the ICT, CT 27 reload. And
Arey
then, of
bhai,
course,
so
this.
it's going to be a horses for courses situation for between Shardul and Ashwin. The idea was to talk. Of course, ये मैं मानता हूँ, ये तो मैं मानता हूँ, ठीक है. I'll wear it as a badge of honor if it helps. But yeah, अरे कुलदीप है भाई, अंकर भाई, बाबर भाई, सब प्रणव भाई हैं, कुलदीप है. I'm 100%
I
sure
think this was
Avnish is,
deliberate. I think
yeah,
this was
Avnish,
deliberate from
Avnish
Avnish.
has done this.
No,
Yeah,
it
just to throw
wasn't.
me under the
I
bus.
wouldn't. I
100%.
wouldn't. I
Not
wouldn't
beyond
fudge
Avnish
about. I wouldn't
whatsoever.
fudge about with the graphics. First of all, I wouldn't fudge about with the graphics. I know India, of course, and the fans take their cricket very seriously. But for you to leave out Kuldeep, that's pretty shocking.
भाई
Anyway,
अरे क्या
Okay,
WhatsApp
so
स्क्रीनशॉट लगा के इसको
on
भी
the
प्राइम
11
टाइम
bit,
न्यूज़ चैनल बना दे.
on the 11 bit, I just feel that given that there's only one spot which is open for rotation, which is the number 8 spot.
Exactly.
I think that on certain venues like Chennai, Delhi, maybe Lucknow, given how the pitch is, we can't be so sure that if it would really be a turner or a slow one. This is where Ashwin could come in. Another change that I would make is that if India, like when India play Pakistan in Ahmedabad, I'd like Shami in the 11 purely because of how well he's bowled at that venue. He really knows how to bowl at that venue. Took a lot of wickets in the IPL in the power play with, at that venue. So that is, and it's a flat pitch. So you could really ask your top 7 to do the job and not really rely on that number 8 batter in those conditions. The another venue where I think India could look at playing Mohammad Shami is Dharamshala. All other venues, these are 5 games. The remaining 4 games, you know, Shardul Thakur, I feel is a better pick for that number 8 spot. But even that number 8 for Mohammad Shami bit is also debatable because India do have Hardik Pandya who can also bowl with the new ball. So you really wouldn't need 4 bowling options who can bowl with the new ball in the power play. But I'm just saying that this is how the number 8 rotation could work.
Yeah,
okay, let's
between
see.
Ashwin and
Go on.
Shardul, I do agree. There's one thing though, contrary to what people feel, I do think that the batting differential between Shardul and Shami is greater than the bowling differential between Shami and Shardul. Like I feel he offers enough value with the bat to just keep Shami out of the 11, irrespective of the conditions. Like Gurkirat mentioned, Hardik can also double up with the new ball if needed
I
under
agree, I
favorable
agree. But the
conditions.
question is now if Hardik just completes his quota of 10 overs, and I think the Hoggers, bloggers have brought this point up as well. Will India ever be tempted to throw in another batter at 7, Nikhil? Or is it a staunch no?
No, I don't think Sky plays any game unless two people are injured. Because one
Agreed.
person is injured, Kishan comes in, second person gets injured, then only Sky comes in. To the point about, Akshay rightly pointed about the batting differential, and again, it may not look convincing on the outside, but you will have to trust that again. Now, this is something that could have been done a while back. That you sit down with Kuldeep and Shami, and you talk to them. That okay, where is your boundary option, or where is the ball that you're going to hit to rotate the strike? If that two were being talked, then this was done. Then you wouldn't have to get to the place about getting Shardul. And the difference with Shardul is all and playing Shami is the middle overs then become very very crucial for you because we had a graphic in our private chat at for once about India's record against left-handers. There is a lot of pressure on Kuldeep alone to strike against lefties. Now Shardul doesn't have great numbers, but the thing with Shardul is very often he's able to create chances. Now if you don't take them, you'll always obviously rue that. But if you are able to use Shami in that role or use Hardik in that role, if you're playing Shami in the power play, you'll have to really nail that middle order bowlers usage very, very well. So I do agree with Akshay and Paji both in the sense that we'll probably play Ash in Chennai, Lucknow, and Delhi. The two venues where you would want to play Shami could possibly be Ahmedabad and Dharamshala, but you will have to really nail that bowling unit. That if you're bowling first in Dharamshala and you're playing Shami, my simple logic eventually for this number 8 is if you're playing a bowling heavy side, keep them to a sub-par score. There is no excuse for you to give away par score also with the best bowling unit on paper. If you feel Shami is the better bowler, अगर 250 par है, keep them to 220. So that you don't need that extra batting depth that you want from Shardul or a number 8. So if you do that, everything is hunky dory.
In all fairness, even then, I wouldn't bring in Shami instead of Shardul, because we
No,
play
why?
New Zealand.
Because I understand, but horses courses, right? Akshay, you look at even India's fixtures, they have to chop and change because games come thick and fast. You have 15 guys you can use. So I agree with Gurkirat. You look at certain games and you'll be like, Shami does fit in the scheme of plans here. But I understand your point as well. But can you elaborate for the other viewers? What are you trying to
I'll
say?
just I'll just take Abhas's comment here to sort of elaborate my point. Having that batting cushion will also help batters pace their innings better, knowing that they have that additional batting cushion, however little it might be. Now imagine Shami at number 8. That means you have number 6 Pandya, then number 7 and out to form Jadeja, and then absolutely no batting. You would imagine Kohli and all of them would be a lot more cautious, a lot more aware, a lot more sort of conservative in terms of their run scoring and
But
in
then
terms
who
of how
bowls?
they go
Who
about
makes
it.
up? Because then it leaves a loose end in terms of the bowling, right?
With the new ball, bhai, Hardik Pandya has done decently well with the new ball,
I
and
know, but
Shardul
will
has
he
taken
finish his
wickets in the
10?
middle overs.
Will he
He
finish
doesn't
his
need
No,
to
ten?
no,
finish his
no.
10, na?
It
Oh,
exactly.
okay, fair.
See, the point here is the best way to have fitten Shami in is had you had Hardik and Jadeja scoring truckload of runs.
Exactly.
If that was the case, that was the only scenario for you to say that okay, we may not need to go to that number 8 for batting, which was the case some years back, where in 2016-18 you had the top three only batting 30-35 overs. So you were not using that batting depth in any which ways, but that is not the case. So because you have it out of form number 7, it really puts a lot of onus on your combination to have some hope of getting that 15-20 runs extra, which Aksar showed us in that Sri Lanka game in Asia Cup. That why there is often an argument कि 7 जन नहीं किया तो 8वां क्या करेगा. अरे but उसके होने से those 7 can also bat better, and if
Yeah.
they don't and you still mess up the batting promotion that you should have done for Aksar, you could still get those 20-25 runs extra.
This is
Exactly. And
true.
just one more point. Even if Jadeja and Pandya, both of them were in excellent form, I would think twice, because we're playing New Zealand in Dharamshala, we're playing Pakistan in Ahmedabad. They have a very good bowling attack. ऐसा भी नहीं कि the opposition's bowling is, sort of not good enough. They can easily on their day dismantle our top order. Given that, I would really want to ensure थोड़ा तो batting हो भाई. वो Shardul
But
might get out for a duck.
but Shardul hasn't done anything of late, saying Satvik here. So what confidence do you have in him, or you just kind of taking confidence from what he brings and the Lord aspect and all of that?
To which my point is, barring the Pfeiffer, it's not like Shami has also been sort of lighting up the ODI format in the last few years.
He
अरे
got his
अभी
best ODI figures.
वही तो बोला भाई,
That's what
barring
he's
the
just saying.
Pfeiffer.
Apart from that as well, you think he's not an ICC player. He is, but I still pick Bumrah and Siraj.
No, but
So
see
Shami's not
Exactly.
in it.
on what Satvik's saying, then uh, even Jadeja's not had a great time in ODIs, but you won't really think of dropping him. Even Hardik's not been as consistent as you'd like him to be, but you won't drop him. So there are players who, even if they've not had a great time, you will not drop them. You could say something similar about. I know they're not players of the same stature, but you know it's not. And I'm just saying this once again. If India had a better number 8 than Shardul Thakur, they would have replaced him by now. They've not been able to find a better number 8. Deepak Chahar is the only other option, but Deepak Chahar doesn't stay fit enough for India to
There's a number
be.
8 which just walked into the Indian squad right now, right?
No, but then Deepak Char also doesn't bowl in the middle overs. That
Yeah.
has been his problem
Yeah.
in like, of course he hasn't played a lot of one days firstly, but you want a guy who's able to create chances. And my bottom line with Shardul is he's able to create. He will give you 2 fours, but on the fifth ball of the over, you suddenly feel a chance coming your way, and that is what you have to take, and that is what it has been. You can call it lucky, you can call it Jai Mata Di, you can call it Lux Cozy, whatever you want to. It has worked for him so far. So he
Yeah,
deserves that first spot. Deserves the spot.
on that Sky bit, I feel for Sky to come in the 11, India would probably have to lose two of their first three games or two of their first four games with Jadeja not doing anything at all. Up and see the
No,
other
but even
aspect.
even if
The
that's the case, Sky doesn't
okay,
walk
I
in.
am.
Yeah.
That's walking.
Let me
No.
complete. The other aspect of why dropping Jadeja becomes difficult is because then it puts pressure on Hardik to bowl all
Hardik,
10.
exactly, exactly.
So there are a lot of factors which, due to which Jadeja, regardless of how he does with the bat, becomes sort of indispensable to the 11.
Undroppable.
So
At
I,
best, they could probably even look at Ashwin coming in at number 7, but Skyto would make little to no sense because they would need some more bowling from their number 7.
see,
At best, I still think Ashwin would be over Sky even in that pecking order for the number
yeah,
7 slot.
I'm not sure of that, but why I said Sky is because India has struggled to chase totals in recent
Yeah,
times. So
Hmm.
uh,
Fair, fair, yeah.
if it comes,
yeah,
especially if India lose games chasing,
yeah.
then the pressure to bring in Sky or at least try out that option, even if it happens, even if it happens for a game or two, I don't think it's a sustainable 11. It's not sustainable. The sustainable 11 is one where India have Hardik at 6 and Jadeja at 7.
Yeah.
I'm saying it will have to, like, India would have to lose games for India to consider that thing, because when you're winning games you can carry a player or two. You can always carry a player of two when you're winning
And
games. It's only when you're
oh,
losing the pressure becomes to bring in changes.
yeah, just you can get the Satvik comment here. I think that is the perfect way to sum up that Shami and Shardul are not competing for the same spot.
Yeah,
It
true.
is Shardul and Ashwin. And I will not be surprised if Ashwin plays more games, if he's able to contribute with the bat and take wickets. Because if he's taking wickets in the middle overs, the thing that I feel with Ashwin is you can use him up as well. What
Hmm.
Rajasthan have done in the past, that again, it is going to be very,
But
very,
aren't
it is
India
not going
too
to happen in
rigid?
most.
India are too
No,
rigid
they are
that they
not.
won't use him with that
See, they are
point.
not. But again, you'll hope that on that very given day, versus a particular team, you will be able to use those resources better. I think even if you look at the India's fixtures, you're almost playing every team at a venue where it could suit India more than the opponent. Now, you switch the Sri Lanka and the England game, you're playing England in Lucknow and Sri Lanka in Wankhede. You switch that, you suddenly fear that, oh, भाई इंग्लैंड को अगर वानखेड़े में खेल रहे हो तो it could really be trouble, and श्रीलंका को लखनऊ में खेल रहे हो तो it could really be trouble, because then it suits them more than it suits you. So I think in terms of venues as well, India has probably helped in that aspect. But one thing that I'm very keen to see is if Ashwin starts, which I think he should in the Chennai game ahead of Shardul, if and he should play the Delhi game as well, because you expect the ball to turn there and help spinners. If Ashwin is continuing to take wickets, I'm very keen to see when do they resist the price about let's get back to Ashwin and not use Shardul. If Shardul goes expensive, again, it's just a random thought. It just came to me now. इसके पहले मैंने इसके बारे में नहीं सोचा था एक भी बार.
Oh my word! Some comments are coming through. Should India buy Bangladesh and play Sharky with 8? Ridiculous.
अरे यार,
Shipping costs going on to say should Dhoni unretire
no,
bat and 8? It's
no, we
quite
are not
ridiculous.
England. We don't need
All
retired
you
players to come back.
all you guys are literally having your say, and we'll move on to that segment where we talk about the MVP and where India will finish in this year's World Cup. MVP, lots of random shouts. Abbas saying Hardik, Cricket Darshan saying Bumrah and Siraj. And I think there was a shout from Santosh Udupa saying top 3 MVP KL. And he also went on to say in that very same particular place, this Akshay. I mean, how could they say things of this, man? Ridiculous. Absolutely
अलग level
ridiculous.
की thinking है भाई सच्ची में.
Seriously. So let's start with you then, Akshay, because you've done the SWOT. So where are you going to, of course, put India in terms of finishing in this year's World Cup? Are you sure of your order? Can you name me the top 10, and then we can, of course,
I can.
hold the hostage?
I mean, for what it's worth, I can name all my top 10 teams in order,
Okay.
in the order that I've said, and you can confirm.
Go on.
So my
Tell me
top
India
4.
first.
Yeah, India finishes in the top 4 along with England,
Where?
Australia, and Pakistan.
Where do they finish in the top?
How does it matter? Top 4 is top 4. Unlike IPL, this is not playoffs. This is just
Champions,
knockout.
finals, what?
I'm not talking about champions. Top 4
I'm
finish uske
asking
baad.
you. I'm asking you where you finish.
I would
essentially.
want to. I'd love to see India win, but Pata nahi yaar, it's hard.
Love
On
to
that, anyone
see,
can win.
want to see. Like you
If
have to be
India
kind of
plays England
firm.
in if India plays England in Mumbai on the 14th of November, it won't be easy. I'll just put it that way. Simple. ठीक है? Khatam. So top four: India, Pakistan, England, and Australia. Fifth, South Africa. Sixth, New Zealand. Seventh, Sri Lanka. Eighth, Bangladesh. Ninth, Afghanistan. 10th, Netherlands. You can go and check. You can go back and check. सारा order ठीक है भाई अपना.
Okay,
थोड़ा
fine.
सोचने दोगे तो करेंगे
Fair
भाई
enough.
हम.
Fair enough. All right. MVP Kuldeep. Almost nobody's taking more wickets in the middle overs in India. All credit to Kuldeep. And Sanjay saying, for me, Rohit Gill pairs the MVP considering all the starts they've had. Babar Rav also echoing the same sort. So Rohit's 500 runs. So the strike rate of 130. Woo! That's an average of 50, I'm guessing. 10 games. I mean, but if India win the World
Yeah,
Cup, then they'll hit
it's been
12.
some time. Rohit at 500 runs with 130 strike rate in IPL.
Seriously.
Where he
So,
has
2020
such
probably. Yeah.
so Paji, where are you going with India then? Where do you have them penned down? Lots of people watching, so be careful.
semis for sure, but beyond that, it's anybody's game.
Right?
Semi
ऐसे मत बताओ.
and Abhi, if you say ki India will definitely win, then there will be idiots who will come and say ki you jinxed it, even though I don't believe in anything like that. So, but yeah, the nature of knockouts is such that you can't predict, and the venues also. You know, when those knockouts are going to happen, it's going to be sort of winters in India, so the dew factor becomes a thing. So you don't know, and both the venues, Wankhede, Kolkata, are like where you're not sure what score. If you're batting first, you're not sure what score is safe.
India plays
At
in
both.
Mumbai. वो तो decided है.
But if Pakistan reach, then India play
Oh,
Pakistan in Kolkata. So there's that. So though a lot of factors that come into play, and you'd hope there are no injuries, but it's a long tournament, so you don't know what happens when. So semis, they should really make it to the semis, chahe buri si buri halat mein. But beyond that, you'd hope that India have some luck which they've not had in recent times. To be very honest, you'll need that more than anything else once you've reached the top four. So there's that. And MVP bit is very difficult to call actually, because there are definitely a lot of contenders. KL's one, Kuldeep's one for obvious reasons. There's Bumrah, but I'll be slightly biased and I go for Shubman Gill. I want him to shed that tag of Ahmedabad bully for once and for all. Hoping he scores a lot of runs, and yeah, if while he does that and take India to glory, maybe break those records which are doing the rounds, hopefully. So yeah.
Okay, I thought he wasn't a namist, but he is because he's going for a fellow Gill
There is
to
no
line up
such
the World
thing
Cup.
also like namist.
I know. I just made it
I
up,
know
right?
your MVP anyway. I know
My
your
M-
MVP.
my MVP is not Virat, unfortunately. It is,
Uh,
of course, wait for it. Honestly, KL Rahul, because I told you guys even before, I genuinely feel that man could light it up and shut a lot of people down. By the way, so Nikhil, let's end with you. I know that you've gone for an India South Africa final. We knew that on Friday. You hinted it to us, and India to win the goddamn thing and be the third time ODI World Cup champions, right?
Yeah, so I'm hoping they play the finals. KL Rahul plays a good knock and shuts up everybody once and for all for ages, for decades, so that nobody's questioning intent and skill and not mixing formats. My MVP will be him and Shreyas. A lot has been talked about number four, number five, and I think India will complete a circle with Yuvraj and MS going out and Shreyas and KL being the ones who are talked about in the future. So hopefully they do their basics well. No on the day Jai Mata Dis. Just read the conditions well. Play the best possible 11. There is enough. There are enough skilled people there. Let's just do our best. We keep trying.
Absolutely. Akshay, you want to say
just
something?
हाँ मैंने अपना MVP तो बोला ही नहीं. Like I was so busy
Yeah,
trying to.
because given the fact that you didn't have Kuldeep in your 11, we didn't take you seriously anymore.
खुद तो अरे भाई शर्म कर ले, थोड़ा तो शर्म कर ले. Anyways,
Bolo bolo.
my MVP was going to be Shreyas Iyer. Really,
Yeah.
really looking forward to seeing him do well this tournament. A lot of people, for some reason, thought he shouldn't be a part of the 11 for whatever reason, but really happy to see him there, being in form. He's practically our only proper spin. Proper spin player in the
Yes.
middle
Now.
order, and that's going to be very, very, very crucial. Crucial. So for India's sake, he has to have a good tournament, which is why I want him to be India's MVP. And yeah,
Okay, fair. Sagar also saying, हमको भी मौका दीजिए आपके साथ बातचीत करने का,
एक मिनट
गुजरात।
ये
अरे
देखो,
भाई
हाय
लोग, आप आपके को बोलनी नहीं थी। अंकर
थैंक्स
मत
अंकर.
डिफेंड किया करो, ये इंसान नहीं है, शैतान है, ये शैतान।
Is that the longest sentence Avnish has managed to pull off in Hindi?
Yeah, exactly. Well done. Well done.
शाबाश
Well
यार.
done.
Shout out
Well
to
done.
all
Well
the
done.
पास आ रहा है
Hindi,
और भाई साहब हिंदी सीख रहे हैं.
shout
सही
out
है
to all the
भाई.
Hindi tuition
on
teachers.
on this
I'm
show,
brushing it up. I'm brushing it up for the World
on
Cup.
live on cricket.com live shows, yes, but off camera and off the record, he's spoken some Punjabi as well, but
अरे
he
Multilingual
needs.
is honestly a good thing to have. Meanwhile, Chetan Chaudhary, I don't know if you've seen us before, but if you are new, please subscribe and please like this video, and so do all of you guys, because I think there's about 60 odd you guys watching and not even 50 likes, 48 likes. So please like right now, and it'll
please
be
do,
absolutely
please do.
brilliant. Any update on the third phase of ticket saying Ankar Bishwas? Not yet. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the World Cup will be called as ODI champions for eternity,
No,
because
no,
this could be
no.
the last
Hopefully.
50 over World Cup. I hope not,
Fingers
because it's
crossed.
something.
I hope.
Yeah, seriously. What a build up India has had leading up to this tournament. At least 13 out of 15 look in hot form. Best chance if they have to play
Yes.
fearlessly.
Last leg.
Look, if you've
Last leg.
just joined, watch the SWOT analysis of India. Watch the SWOT analysis of all our teams, because we've had some absolute fun and banter, and of course, back and forth in bringing down and breaking to you this 10 mega preview event, which is, of course, World Cup 2023. We've finished with part 3. And, of course, if you guys haven't checked out the first 2 parts, it's available right now on the YouTube network. Guys, thanks so much for, of course, tuning in. All you guys have been absolute legends. Not only the 3 in front of me, but in the chat as well. And like I see, again, Monday, of course, brings new week of content. Monday Night Live. There's R. Sridhar. We're going to be rating World Cup quiz. Kits, beg your pardon.
Kits.
Quiz-wise, Nikhil and Akshay will be going against each other, and lots more fun in that Monday Night Live. Gurkirat, when will we see him next? We'll see him on Tuesday with me and Somesh in a live Q&A at 7 p.m. Get your questions in. Wherever you can find us on the community posts and social media, we'll, of course, ask the boys and have their say, and of course their predictions as well. It's been a long stream, and of course India was always going to be a long talking point. We'll leave it there, guys. You people are the best analysis. Thank you so much. It's an absolute brilliant way to end the show. Akshay, Gurkirat, Nikhil, and of course me, Avnish Hegde, signing off from cricket.com's perspective. Subscribe if you're new and like this video. It's a goodbye from us.